It all starts here. Welcome to the finish line. It's the latest on dirt racing and everything in between. Join us Sunday evenings at 7 p.m. all right here. It's presented by Rocking K Leather and Scotty's Mobile Repair. Join the conversation at 785-572-0085. Now here's your host, Brett Gray.
Good evening, and welcome to the finish line. I am your host, Brett Gray, obviously, and we're back for another edition of the finish line. We got a great guest lined up tonight, Mr. Daniel Newell. He is a IMCA Sport Compact driver, just starting out in a series. Had a decent season this year, getting started up for next season. Got to work on the car, do some things, to get going and get better, and we'll talk to him here in just a minute. But going to go ahead and do our thing we usually always do here, Tracks Across America. All right, so here we go. We got Southern Challenge coming up at Abilene, Texas, Abilene Speedway, Friday, October 16th at 7 p.m. You can catch that on IMCA TV or attend live. Great racetrack. I've been by there, haven't got a chance to check that one out yet, but certainly if you can get down there next season, get that show. A lot of racing going on around the country. Again, stuff people are wrapping up, but there is still quite a bit going on, especially down south where they got a little better weather. The winter kind of tends not to affect them that much, but another one we got going on around the country is the Street Stock Classic going on Friday, October 16th as well. Travelers Rest Speedway in South Carolina. Travelers Rest, South Carolina. Never heard of that one, but from the research I was doing, looked like a good program. They've got the street stocks and the whole different stuff going on down there. And this is all put on by a class of racing called Crate USA. They're kind of a sanctioning body. They do a lot of street stock stuff. They do a lot of the late model stuff, and if you guys are into that kind of racing, check that out, and certainly tune in to their series down there. And that's all coming up October 16th, like I said, in Adairsville, I think is how you pronounce that, Georgia. So Georgia's a big state, beautiful state. A lot of great people down there. Been through there quite a bit over the years. So check that out if you can, and check out the Crate USA series. Look them up online. Get their schedule for next season. They should have all that out about mid-season or so. So a lot of stuff coming up with that. Right here in La Crosse, America, La Crosse, Kansas. They got their bull ring out here, and they had 2 nights of racing. Tonight's the last one. They're finishing up with that. So check them out. And, they had 2 nights of the modifieds, the stock cars, the hobby stocks for IMCA. Also, the mod lights, they're out there. Those guys put on a real good show always. And check that out if you can. You get out here tonight. And it's about $30 a person to get in, I think, because this is their special show made up for the rain-out races for the fair. That'll be their last one for the season, everything wrapping up. At RPM Speedway in Hays, Kansas, they had their last hurrah there, if you will, the Fall Nationals. A lot of cars turned out for that. I think it was probably 11 or 12 different states from what I heard that showed up to that deal, as always. A lot of good racers out there. They had that all wrapped up. That was their big deal for the end of the season. And I wish if the weather holds, I wish they'd have some other special going on, but they don't. But catch up with RPM Speedway next season. That's coming up in the Sunflower Classic in the spring there. They'll get that going again. And hopefully they can get some butts in the seats and get some better fans and people involved in that. And all as always, please, if you can, be involved in your local track, support your local drivers, be involved in your community like that, and go out and watch some great racing and try to be part of it and participate as much as you can. We want to thank our sponsors again tonight, Scotty's Mobile Repair, as well as Rockin' K Leather out there in Missouri. Contact Nick, look him up for all your leather working needs. Get a hold of Scotty's Mobile Repair, Scott Gilman over there in Walker, Kansas. He'll come to you and he can fix anything. So give him a call. He might even do some house repairs for you if you need that done. But we want to thank Scotty anyway. And we'll go along with the Tracks Across America, and that'll be done with that. And let's get on to our guest, Mr. Daniel Newell. How are you doing here, Daniel?
I'm doing pretty good. Just finished up that season, like you said. Didn't do too bad.
Good. For those who don't know you, let's talk about that a little bit. Tell them who you are, what you do, what your race season was like, what car you running, those kinds of things.
Well, like I said, this is my rookie season.
Sure.
Number 99N. It's a Sport Compact Series. I finished 8th in points at RPM Speedway. I only ran one track, because I couldn't really afford to go anywhere else, just starting out.
Yeah, we had to talk about that where the traveling expenses can get, in the past shows we were talking about traveling expenses and stuff, and that can get a little pricey sometimes. I can understand that, yeah.
Yeah, it can get a lot, actually, hotel expenses and, fuel and everything like that, not including parts on the car if you have anything go wrong. So, yeah, it gets expensive for sure.
Sure. And what is it that you enjoy about RPM the most? Best race, worst race, those kinds of things.
Well, the track's always racy top to bottom. It's a good track. They take care of it real well. Fans are amazing. I wouldn't be doing it if it weren't for the fans.
Sure.
That's what I do it for.
That's what it's all about.
Yeah. And that's exactly right. If we didn't have fans, where would we be, We wouldn't be racing, that's for sure.
Be like NASCAR, nobody watching.
Yeah, exactly. Cardboard cutouts in the stands,
Right?
Pretty much, I had a really good season. Not bad for the first official full season for myself. I started out last season, ran a race, and then see if I enjoyed it, and here I am, next season on.
Right. Now, I can understand, being a rookie, we've all been there at one point, and, did you have anything that was terribly wrong or, something bad that happened throughout the season and then you got yourself better as time went on? Or, because in the rookies, it's always a learning experience no matter what you do. Seat time is key to anything in this sport, and it just always works out like that. The more seat time you get, the better you get off in the long run, get off running, doing stuff and so on and so forth. Talk about that for a minute.
Main, like keyword you said, seat time. And that's all I was out there trying to do is, get the experience. Wasn't too bad. Fair races. I actually rode the hook back in the feature. That was a low point.
Yeah,
in my career.
that's never a good thing when you're on the hook for the night. Yeah.
No, it wasn't fun, but I put it back together, hit it back next race. I think that was the one I finished top 5.
Sure.
It was pretty good, and never look back from there. If you focus on your past with all your, your faults and like your wrecks and stuff, you'll never make it past.
Kind of get in your head a little bit. Yeah, I can understand that. That's happened, I think, to all of us at one point or another.
I was nervous as heck when I actually drew the pole because I'm like, I wanted to say I want to go to the back, but my insides is telling me you got to learn.
Right. And they do a pill draw out there?
It depends on the show.
What they call a pill draw, where they throw a bunch of chips in a hat with numbers on them and or a bucket or whatever they do. That's what they used to do to us way back in the day was that stuff. But
it's a random draw.
To do your position. I don't necessarily always agree with that. It's one of those things where I think they ought to maybe just invert the field or And the other thing, driver introductions, things like that. I never really did like how they did that. I always thought that and this is for all the classes. I always thought that they always ought to have everybody pull out there, and everybody get out of the cars and let the fans see them, and then get back in, give them a few minutes, get strapped in, and do that. I think that's probably a better, appropriate way to do that. But I can understand how they want to move their program along and do that stuff too, because as somebody who's sitting in the stands, if I don't personally know you or know your number or whatever, the case may be, then it's one of those things where it's, who's this guy and, or gal or what,
Exactly.
and, you can't put faces with names. But, talk about a little bit about your stuff going on as far as doing it by yourself, no sponsors. He does need sponsors, by the way, y'all. So if there's somebody out there that can help him out, I learned with sponsorship stuff, you don't ever ask for much, but every little bit helps. I mean, if it's a few dollars for a tire or a few dollars for fuel or this or that, it's always helpful.
It adds up.
Whether it be a personal sponsorship or whether it would be a company or something like this. The thing is that you got to get the community behind these drivers, okay, and stuff like that. But talk about some of that, or kind of what you're looking for, or what how people can contact you, how people can help you out with that stuff, and what you can give back to the sponsors in the season and things like that. We'll talk about that for a little bit.
All right. When it comes to the sponsorships, every little bit helps.
Sure.
For sure on that. The best that I'd be able to do is get your name on my car, and that'll get your name out there for you. And that'll be helping us both out, no matter what you can do.
Sure.
Because I'm like a big billboard at that point for you.
Right.
So.
And I've done it in the past when I was racing where, I at the end of the year, I'd get T-shirts made, or cups, glasses, whatever, maybe thank you awards, just something that don't cost very much, but, it gives something back to them, and things like that. So that might be something you look into. But what kind of car are you running, and what let's talk about it's a 4-cylinder series, right?
It is.
For those who don't know.
Front-wheel drive, no rear-wheel drive at all. Has to pretty much be OEM spec cars. You can't modify them really at all. You have to have everything spec'd out the way it's stock on that car. It's a beginner class. If you want to get into racing, I suggest doing it. You can get into it pretty rarely cheap, unless you want to.
Who did you build your own car? Or
I
who
did
builds?
not.
Who builds them?
I was lucky enough to buy one off of the Fahnensteels.
Okay.
Leon Fahnensteel, his son, is the one who ran that car prior.
And they moved up to something else, or?
I think they're out of racing.
Oh, okay.
Altogether.
All right.
So, but his dad does like powder coating and welding and everything like that. So he welded my cage in there, and that's the main reason.
He's the one that does Leon's welding and
Yes.
all that. Then I see.
Yep, he's the one that does that, and that's the main reason I bought that car, because I know that cage is going to be safe.
Sure.
Super safe. So, but he helped me. His sons helped me.
Yeah, he had a hobby stock at one time. I think he did there for quite a while. Yeah.
He did. He was a really good driver too.
Yeah.
But his son is actually helping me out with a race trailer. He's letting me use it as I pay for it, because starting out you don't have the funds to just throw $2-3 grand to a trailer unless you're lucky. And I haven't been lucky. I spend every dime I got that I can towards
right.
racing.
Well, and when it's in the blood, it's in the blood like that. I understand that completely. And what about family support? I mean, I know we were just talking off air about how racing in itself is a family. I mean, you get a lot of good people involved and helping you out, and if you need help at the track and it's just you, I've been in that position.
No pit crew.
No crew,
yeah, period.
right?
Yeah.
And if something major happens, then you're either done or you got to fix it yourself, or what. I've been there, done all that. But you got your mom behind you a little bit there, and any other people involved in the sport with you?
My mother, my grandmother, my daughter, who really can't help much, but she could just scream her head off for me, so that helps a lot. My niece, same way. She'll help. Occasionally if I need to add oil or whatever.
Sure.
Get them into the sport somehow.
And that's the thing about the sports. It's a family affair, And if I think it has a lot of good life lessons involved in all that kind of stuff, and it's one of those things where if the kids kind of like it, get involved in it, and then they give you these. You guys, let me show you this stuff because these are just way cool. Daniel hands these cards out there, buddy. They're a picture with his car and stuff like that, and I'm sure he'd be glad to autograph this stuff, and then what I would do is I'd put these in my little notebook thing and take them to the racetrack, and then you know who you're looking at and who you're cheering for, that kind of stuff. And then, of course, it gives the kids kind of something to look at and look forward to, and people kind of like to have stuff sometimes, We always called it swag, is what, you have a little bit of swag, give them a little bit of swag, and they try to support you as much as they can. But, it's great to have a rookie in here. We haven't had this yet going on in the beginner series. Hopefully, let's talk about this a little bit. Hopefully, you can get moved up. Get some sponsorship going. Get the community behind you. Get moved up to where you get maybe in the hobbies or in the stock car or something like that. And get yourself in a better position to do that.
Yeah, that probably gave my mom a heart attack, actually.
So. And I've been through the rookie series of stuff myself, especially in the asphalt dunes, and when I was doing that, I didn't know nothing. I just got in the car,
Yep.
And those kinds of things, and I went through it with the dirt, and you don't know, you just gotta kind of learn as you go, I guess, and and if there's good opportunities to maybe do a driving school or do some of these different things like this, certainly maybe jump on that. I would say, I mean, it's
if somebody
never can hurt.
Yeah, if somebody be willing to let me step behind a wheel of sport mod or something, I'd be open to it.
Sure.
I wouldn't be afraid of it.
Sure. Well, and that's the thing. You can't ever be afraid of your car.
Exactly. You got to respect it. You just can't be afraid of it.
So I mean, there's more than one time that I put the car in the wall or done something crazy, and what did I do that for? But it's those kinds of things. But I got the people in the background over here causing trouble every now and then. But anyhow, so what do you got going on for next season? What's your goals? What is your process you think you're going to have to go through for that?
My goals is to actually buy another car, get another Neon, hopefully. I have one in the works currently.
They're out there.
And there's one that's ready that I can pick up, by the end of this year. So, and that's what I'm planning on
Always
doing.
been the Mopar guy?
Yeah,
it's good to see the Mopars in the field,
Got Ram truck,
Sure.
I'm Mopar all the way, so.
Yeah, it's always good to see the Mopar guys in the field, and I'd like to see some of that throughout the whole series involved, I mean, you see the GM stuff coming up. You see a lot of these other things, no Fords in the field. There used to be a few back in the day in the hobbies,
There ain't none anymore.
None. And I think it has to do with cost effectiveness, and those types of things.
Hey, I'm going to step in a minute.
This is my wife talking here. She's going to talk about
track of all of the comments and stuff
Okay.
people have been making.
All right.
Just wanted Daniel to know that he has a whole bunch of people watching him tonight.
Awesome.
We have his mom and his grandma and Hillary.
My sister.
Okay.
We were just talking about family support in the sport, and this is one thing that I think is great for that. We get
Family
people.
is the biggest thing when it comes to this kind of thing. You were discussing his cards that has his picture.
Yeah, they're right here. We had these to where they are
handout.
available for the kids, for the fans.
His mom said that he also hands out goodies to the kiddos, like gummy bears and Dum Dum Pops and stuff like that.
Yep.
That obviously is.
What's a Dum Dum Pop? Is that something that I evaded me?
That's something that I give you.
Well.
They're little suckers.
Pop it a dum-dum, just get the old right hand going there.
But just wanted him to know that his family was watching
Awesome.
and supporting him. That's the biggest, I think.
And the podcast, we want to get out to everybody, and we still have our stickers available, right, dear?
We still have stickers available, and
That's what they look like. They're right there. And it looks just
we
like
also
this,
have
guys.
the new banner in the background
Looks
that
awesome.
I picked up this week.
Isn't that cool?
Daniel actually gets to be the first one to be in that one. We also are going to be doing something new, something that I'm working on actually. If anybody that has been a guest or that wants to be a guest, if they can bring pictures of their car with their number on it,
Sure.
we're going to have T-shirts made with all the guests' cars
And
and
then the
numbers.
finish line. We're going to put
It'll
the finish
be
line.
The
Oh, yeah.
finish line logo will be on
Awesome.
there with
That's cool.
your name as the host, obviously. Chandler Kitchen as our tech guy.
Tech support advisor.
Yes.
Do good guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And
He
then
thinks he knows what he's doing some days.
some days. I don't know. I called him chicken earlier instead of
Oh
kitchen.
boy.
So.
Anyway,
But no, we're gonna have T-shirts made.
be careful. It's a family show.
I know. But just that's a future thing for people. Even, families, if you have the picture of the family with the cars, that's okay too. Nothing big because we want to be able to fit everybody on the shirt. But those will be up for sale.
Yeah, but we don't want itty bitty ones. We don't want
You
itty
don't
bitty.
want, no, like a 4x6, like the size of what Daniel gave you would be perfect.
Sure.
And then once we get those made, we'll have those up for sale. We'll probably do a giveaway, like we did with the stickers.
Which hasn't been highly successful, but
Actually, it has.
has it?
I have
Okay,
mailed
well,
out-
you would know more about that than I do, but
I have mailed out 7 in the last
okay.
week.
All right, we got to get some out to some other people that was doing that. And that's the thing. If anybody wants to call in tonight, we'd love to have your take on stuff. Have a call-in show. Let's talk to Daniel. You can ask questions, ask me questions. The numbers up on the screen for all those who want to do that, and we'll continue the conversation with him. And
if you guys have any questions, just message us on
my
Facebook.
cords are in my way here.
Message us on Facebook, and we can get you stickers. Or if you want to be a guest, just message, and we will get back to you.
Or let's do this too. If you have if you have a message or a question you want to ask it on the messenger, and one my team here will get it to me or whatever, and we'll try your best to answer it. Kind of do this Dale Jr. style, where he has his people in the background there, and they ask questions, and then they have to, what do they call that, the Dale Jr. download. We'll do that kind of thing. And
Anyways, Daniel, I just wanted to let you know that your family is watching. They are supporting you just like they do with the track.
I appreciate that.
Hey, no
Thank
problem.
you, guys.
awesome. Well, that was cool.
Heck yeah. It
Got a
was.
lot of people involved in that, so that's a good thing. We always like to have guests on the show, and we appreciate you coming, but we always like to have guests on the show. That way they get it spread out to everybody else, and it becomes a good fan base here. You probably heard last week we were talking about how we had a chance to maybe do some of the lives at the tracks. What do you think about that?
I think that would be awesome. Really do. You get, you'd be the only one that's doing it,
Sure. Well, we got to get permission from RPM and some of the others. And, of course, it comes down to travel expenses and things again.
Yeah.
So, whoops, we got something else going on? We're kind of ad-libbing the show here a little bit. So, that's all right. These things happen.
I don't want to leave anybody out. Your niece, Delilah, says she's very proud of you and she loves you.
Love you too, Delilah. Thank you.
Well, there it is. News flash, right? So
Important news bulletin.
I think we're going to try to do some of these lives. I want to do a couple parades, I think, too. And put get us out there with that, and do some lives from the tracks, live driver interviews, and by all means, the fans, and let us know what you think about all that going on, and if that's something y'all want to see, and just talked to Chandler here recently when he was doing stuff, and he said that we are going to try to get this uploaded to YouTube. So can't be live on YouTube yet, but we're going to try to get this going to where we get followers and things. I get to where I can't talk. Jeez. Let me get a drink, y'all. I have my iced tea here I'm working on. Excuse me just 1 minute. Oh, that's better. Anyway,
There you go.
back to what I was saying with the live thing. I think it's going to be a good deal for the track promotion. Not to say that they don't promote themselves, but we might do some fan interviews, get their takes on things. Speaking of, that's a good entry for this deal. What have you encountered as far as fans? I'm sure everybody's been great. You get a lot of the support at the track.
I'm so new that it's really hard for me. I get,
I can understand
people
that.
coming in and seeing me. I autograph cards for them. If little kids, give them a sucker or whatever. And
Sure.
And a card.
Whoa, we're losing equipment back there.
But as for like adults, for my class, it's, like I said, entry level. They're more interested in higher up classes, like sport mods.
Yeah, that's unfortunate that you guys kind of get the.
But we get kids, so it's,
well, I think the kids
future.
and that's the future of the sport, and I think the kids kind of do that anyway. They like all the race cars, and always for me, I think was the thing when I was having my truck and trailer and car and all my stuff going somewhere. I always loved to get the looks. You drive down the road, and people are just looking and going crazy over what the heck is that? Where are they going to? And
yep, I get that too.
I maybe always want to put a thing on the car that said "Follow me."
Yeah, pretty much. Follow me to the racetrack or something.
So, but what about your?
Hey, I'm going to interrupt you for a minute. I'm sorry. Jarrett Marger
Yes.
has commented and said, "What's up, Daniel?" He wants a sticker. He's going to put us on the 808. Apparently, he races in Colby and Goodland.
And occasionally out in Hayes, too.
Well, good. He knows who he is. Send him some info. We'd love to have him on the show if we can.
What's up, buddy?
That'd be good.
Jarrett, if you would message us your information, we can get you a sticker.
And if you'd like to be a guest, tell him about that.
Yeah, if you want to be a guest on the show, just message us on the Finish Line on Facebook, and we can get that arranged and set up for you as well.
Sure. Or would they like to message or call you even? Would that
Messaging on the Finish Line Facebook is easier. They can message me. It's Heather Gray. I know, shush. Okay.
I do it too.
You can either message me on Facebook or you can message the Finish Line or message Daniel, and he can get a hold of Brett or myself. And
you got to get the privileges of being the co-host tonight as well as the guest,
That's
right?
pretty cool, I think.
And we can also get that information out to you as well. So it doesn't really matter how you contact us. Just as long as we can get that information to you, we would be loved.
Support the podcast. Support us. Support Daniel as we go along here and things like that. So, we'll get this out to the world hopefully eventually.
The stickers are $5 a piece, but for tonight for Daniel, being this is his first time on here and he's a rookie, will be nice, and I will make sure I send a sticker with you too before you leave for your grandma.
You know what we should do? I just here's I remember I was talking about earlier on the show how things before the show how things just random pop in my head.
It happens a lot.
Here's what we should do. For anybody that wants to be a guest on the show and serious about it, and especially Daniel here, we should get one of these made in race car size.
I'll put it on my car.
Put on the car. And then people, we can do that eventually, and people can ask about it, and maybe you list a phone number type thing on the next ones or something.
I'm going to talk to Chandler. I haven't done that yet. He's standing over there, so he can probably hear me. But I want to actually get the stickers with the phone number on them.
His number, the show number, or our number?
The show number.
The show number, okay.
That way, when people are, out driving around, they're at the track, wherever they may be, they can see the sticker with the phone number on it. And when they know that we're live, they can call that number if they want.
And we're always live on Facebook Live at 7 p.m. every Sunday.
Yes.
With the exception of if something major happens and we're not able to, and we'll message you about that on the show.
And they can always get a hold of us on Facebook as well.
Right.
That's one of the biggest ways to get a hold of us, if you will.
Sure. Well, we don't mean to bore everybody with jabbering.
No, Daniel's got the Facebook hopping tonight.
Got the Facebook hopping tonight, huh?
A bunch of family.
Is there anybody out there that wants to call in and do a call-in thing and talk with Daniel? We'd love to have you call in. And let's give them the number so if they don't see
It's on the screen, but it's 785-572-1010. 0085.
Okay.
Again, that's 785-572-0085.
So call in, talk with us, talk with Daniel, ask any questions you want to, even if it's friends, family, the dog, whatever. We'll get
That'd be interesting.
we'll get somebody to call in and
If a dog calls in, I'm running.
Well, thank you, dear, for all your wonderful information there. And she kind of keeps track of all the things going on behind the scenes as far as what we do to do on Facebook and things like this. But let's move on. Let's talk a little bit about the engines in these cars. You said they're 4-cylinder, non-modified, but I'm sure people do.
Yeah, there are
there's
cheat 'em up.
there's things that happen like that. So why do you think IMCA, and we had this conversation before, but why do you think IMCA is just allowing just the front-wheel drive stuff? Do you think it's because they're, in the new day and age, there's getting more out there of those versus not so much of the rear-wheel drive stuff, or you think rear-wheel drive has an advantage over the front-wheel drive stuff, or how what's your take on that?
I think the rear-wheel drives actually have more of an advantage because with the sport compacts, you're pushing when you hit the corners. Rear-wheel drives, you can just kick it sideways and ride around,
Well, explain that push to people who don't understand that.
With front-wheel drive cars, you go into a corner, you're actually, trying to keep it from going in opposite direction, because it wants to go to the right, and you're supposed to be going to the left, and you're fighting it, and rather than, like sport mods or, like your experience with your,
the hobby stock stuff. Yeah.
You can just you can literally get in the corner, kick it, and ride around that corner. These you really can't.
Is there any way, and I'm not familiar with the sport mods at all, or the sport compact, excuse me, at all. Is there any way to maybe tune those cars to get the push out of them, maybe do tire pressure, different springs, different, things like this, as long as you're not outside the rules?
Tire pressure is one of the big things, but you can also adjust your camber on it, which makes you lean one way. Like when you're going around a corner, it helps you turn it better.
Do you know what percentages is in that?
I do not.
Don't know?
I just pretty much run my tire pressures. That's all I've ever done since I'm so new to it.
That might be something. That might be something to help you out. Figure out what percentages you need for camber, caster, toe, this thing like that. And I'm sure there's somebody out there that at the track that you could ask and would help you with that and figure all that out. But then there's people you get that don't want to give away their secrets and things too. So That's a good point, though. Just tire pressures, and can you guys do any spring modification, shocks, kinds of things, or is it just jump in the car and hope for the best?
Pretty much jump in the car, hope for the best. Other than tire pressure and your toe and your camber. So
interesting, yeah.
It's more. I don't know if it's I say strict, but you just can't modify it like you can with hobbies, and you can adjust your shocks and all that. I've never. Is
it open to any kind of a 4-cylinder car as long as it's front-wheel drive, or do they have certain specific, for those who don't know, is there any specific kinds of cars that people use, or whether it's the three major manufacturers or foreign, I'd like to see something like that in a V6 class. We were talking about that off air.
That'd be interesting, to say the least.
Strictly a V6 class, and maybe that'd be interesting. But what's your take on that? Is there anything that certain cars that work better than others, you think? Or
Cavaliers are
as far as manufacturing goes.
GM dominates in this class. In a nutshell, I went Mopar because it's all I've ever known. So. But it's either –
and that's good to see the Mopar guys in the field, like I said before. Yeah.
But GM dominates. It's always the Cavaliers or, Sunfires out front always.
And have you seen that throughout all the classes? Because it seems like anymore that's when you go to racetrack, that's what you see is a lot of the GM stuff going on. And, the G-bodies and the aftermarket this and that for the stock cars. And a lot of them are GM. I don't think I've seen too many Fords in the field. Although we were talking about Chad Sterling. He's local out of Stockton up there. You said he had a Mopar.
I believe it's yellow, kind
of a greenish yellow color.
Yeah, it's a Charger or a Challenger chassis.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Sure.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
I saw it. Yeah, I think he brought it out there for the Sunflower Classic there that one year. or maybe
then
it was
there's-
last year or something, or this season. Maybe it was the first of this season. I hadn't seen it since.
And then there's one
Yeah.
in the hobbies that comes out. It's looks like a Roadrunner or something like that. It's
Really?
the only one out there, and I'm like, that's really cool that somebody would actually bring one of those out and race it, rather than
And win with it.
yeah, and yeah, exactly.
Props to those Mopar guys. I mean, that's something I'd like to see more of across the board. The Mopars, the three major manufacturers. Maybe the Toyota stuff. Some of that's coming out, and I'm sure you see that in your class. But
I've seen some Celicas
but
and
some of
Corollas.
but I mean, some of the kind of keeping up with NASCAR a little bit, sort of. Maybe some of the Toyota stuff that comes out, because TRD's had a big development over the years, and it just keeps evolving and evolving and evolving. I'd even like to maybe, when we talked about this in the past shows, I'd even maybe like to see them do a truck class. What's your take on that? Something for a truck series, whether it be 4-cylinder, 6-cylinder,
That would make it
V8s.
interesting. Little Rangers out there running around,
or something like
pretty
that.
Cool.
Yeah. You do the Rangers, the S10s, the
Sonomas.
Dakotas, Sonoma, those
Yeah.
kinds of things. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
I know there's a class that I was researching down in southern Florida. They do that. Central southern Florida. They've got a I think they call them pro trucks or super or something like that, and it's they do asphalt and dirt, and they've got a truck class like that. That's their beginner rookie class for those kinds of things. And I think they do kind of a run what you brung deal,
Yeah.
kind of thing like that. But that makes it interesting. I'd like to see some more of that up here in this area. We were talking off air about IMCA in general, and also how there's so many different classes and sanctioning bodies throughout the U.S. And, it makes me wonder how you could only pay attention to like one thing. I understand we're kind of in the IMCA world out here, and of course certainly Iowa is in the thick of it.
Oh yeah.
That's kind of where it all started. But they do a Northwest region, they do a West region, East region, Southern regions, things like that for IMCA. But then there's like this Crate USA series I was talking about at Tracks Across America. There's these other ones out there throughout the series that or these different series that are doing this stuff. And I think it'd be interesting to pay attention, because there is 4-cylinder classes in all of these, in most all of these sanctions. I'm going to say all of them, but most all of them. So, it'd be interesting to pay attention to some of that. And we were talking about off air about maybe seeing if IMCA at some point would put together a Sport Compact tour.
That'd be cool.
What's your take on that?
I wish they would. That would bring in a lot of, you'd bring cars in from all over the United States for that one. Do like, said Texas, and then, up here, and then go up to Nebraska, out to Colorado, over to Missouri,
Sure.
Anywhere. that
And
anybody's
Springfield
willing to run.
Speedway, have you ever get opportunity to check out Springfield Speedway out there, quarter mile there at Springfield?
I
And
have.
if you get a chance to do that, they've got a series for that kind of stuff too that they do, and that would be a good track to do that at, or even Peevely up there at I-55. That's Kenny Schrader's kind of deal, but he's a partner in that or whatever. But throughout the country, I think that would be a good point, is to be able to put together a series, have good payouts for everybody.
Make it worth their while.
Get the communities involved. Like I always tell everybody, I try to sell everybody on the idea of that. Get the community behind it. Get sponsors involved. Get the payouts better, and get car count, butts in the seats. And,
That'll help big time.
And years ago, I remember hearing something around the country about where they had, not necessarily, it was in a more of a professional racing series, I think it was, but they had a series out where it was just strictly a rookies. I don't remember what genre of the racing it was in, but it was they had a rookie tour series. If somebody knows what that is, help me out with that, because I know I heard about that at one point. Maybe it was late models or something that they were doing at one time. That could have been what it was. But What do you think about that? That'd be something kind of cool, wouldn't it, to do?
Yeah, it
just
would.
just strictly rookies and maybe it'd be a wreck fest.
Yeah,
you never
probably
know.
would.
But I think that'd be something to watch. People are always in this sport. It just seems like people are always looking for something new, exciting, different, and the fans come to obviously watch the races and watch the wrecks. And the chills and spills and thrills of it, they call it. But sadly, it's sometimes it just seems like sadly it's all going away.
It is.
I read a thing here a while back ago. There was somebody that was writing statistics, and obviously they didn't know much about the sport, but they were writing statistics about how they thought that in 20 years down the road, all these cars were going to disappear, and we're not going to have this dirt racing anymore, and all that. I think that was an article that I was reading in Circle Track magazine here several years ago. But here it is, all these years later, and we're still going,
Exactly.
and it still goes on throughout the country. I think more and more though, it turns into a thing where the modifieds are evolving. We talked about this in past shows too, but the evolution of the sport, the evolution of the modifieds, the evolution of the stock cars, the evolution of the hobby stocks or street stocks or whatever you want to call them, evolution of the four-cylinder class. What do you see in that as far as what's going on with the evolution of the sport on your end?
The evolution, like you said, is changing every day. We got more and more, I guess rules. You got more and more updates on cars. You can't
Sure.
run certain cars anymore. You have to have a certain
And why is that?
safety,
Just
I'm guessing.
safety?
I think so. I don't know main reason behind it. Like I said, just started. But back to what you were saying about, where it originally started, how everything's progressed. My granddad raced, and he raced back when they were like those little coupe cars.
We used to call them jalopies back in the day. Yeah, excuse me, I got a drink again.
Yep, he's the main reason I'm racing now. I actually have his patch that I keep. He's on my race suit, keeping me safe. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
But
that's
yeah,
awesome.
That progressed from coupes, to.
They used to run like a six-cylinder, inline sixes in them cars, and they call them vintage or nostalgia cars or whatever it is nowadays.
Yep.
But
The KAR class. Yeah.
right. Yeah, but I was watching something the other day. I think it was a YouTube video or something. And there was this one racetrack that I thought was really cool. That it had to do something with Indy or something back, but they had the dirt track nevertheless, and they had these old Indy cars that were the ones with they looked like a long cigar with the great big skinny wheels on them. Mm-hmm. And them guys are going around out, and it was modern stuff, but them guys were going around out there, 120, 130 mile an hour on them little skinny tires.
No room for air.
No room for air. Yeah, we had that conversation on the show about board tracks a while back ago. I did a little topic on board tracks. That's kind of how the whole dirt racing thing started throughout the Midwest anyway. I know back in the in the 20s they had them in Chicago and different places like this where they were racing on these boards, and they always got inherently really dangerous because of the splinters and the different things. And back then they had a driver and a mechanic in the car and doing all this kind of stuff. And then it evolved into, we're talking about the evolution of the sport. It evolved into where that got too expensive to maintain those tracks. So they said, well, we'll build dirt. Dirt's cheaper to run on, and that I think that's kind of where that was. And of course, then NASCAR come along after World War II and those types of things. So, it's just interesting how all that evolved. And then the four cylinders, like you guys are going, there's a lot of innovation going on, or is it just kind of what it is? I mean, are they coming out with aftermarket parts? Are they doing different things that is making it better or worse, you think?
Well, you can run aftermarket parts on them, but you're running the risk. So, but you're mainly supposed to stay stock, but yeah, you can run them if you can, sad to say it, hide it good enough,
Yeah.
But
That happens, I think, a lot throughout everything. But I mean, like I said, I'm not familiar with because I've never run it. When I started on the dirt. I started in the super lates, or not super lates, but the super stocks back in Jetmore when they were running that class, and then I kind of moved into the IMCA stuff. I was back in the day when they were doing the bombers, which I wish they would have kept that class around at some point.
I don't know even where they race them anymore. I think they're down in Sedgwick County, something like that.
Yeah, 81 Speedway maybe of that stuff, but they got some of that going on. Hopefully next year maybe you can get out and travel a little bit, some of that stuff, and what do you think about Concordia Speedway? I've heard
the high banks.
So much about that up there, and I didn't even know they had a track there, Concordia, until my buddy Elliot May, which I've known since he was a younger kid. Elliot, I think won the last race up there. He's out of Lyons area over there, Lyons, Kansas, and he's got a really good hobby stock and all that going on up there. And what do you think about getting up there and maybe checking that out?
I'm thinking about it. I don't know if they run my class up there. I know they run hobby stocks and all that. I am definitely going to travel more in the off season. I'm planning on getting an enclosed trailer, faster running car.
Getting serious.
Writing that check, But no,
sometimes you got to bite the bullet and do those things. Sure.
I'm gonna run Nebraska, Colorado.
Where at Nebraska you think you might be running?
Oh boy. Let's see. There's Lexington. They got a big old show.
Okay.
Like if you show up 5 weeks in a row up in Lexington, the only problem is they race Sundays. So it interferes with
work day.
And
I've run across that a lot throughout some of these series and sports. Doing this stuff, I mean, you could literally, if you wanted to, for IMCA, run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it's nice that they split that up in some places. But then you got the guys that do tour, and they go from one thing to the next, and I mean, you wonder what they do for a job. People have jobs and lives, and I know that's kind of where I was at and why I stopped, because it just interfered with the job and with the kids and all the stuff going on in the world. But, for somebody who wants to go out and do that, I think that'd be a great thing to tour. I'd love to find sponsors and somebody to put a tour together, for you guys, for the hobbies, for everybody else at IMCA that's involved in it. I think that would be something that we would like to see, and get some butts in the seats. Hey, y'all, if y'all want to call in and talk to Daniel, let's do that. Let's have a few Q&A session here. People call in for Q&A stuff if somebody wants to call in and do some of that. Do we have any viewers or anything going on out there? I don't have my monitor. So if we got anybody that wants to call in.
We're still up to like 7 viewers, I think.
7 viewers? Well,
viewers?
I guess viewers.
Viewers.
I can't even talk. That's more than 0 viewers.
This is true. I just wanted to get on real quick while you're waiting for people to call and just remind the ones that have been on the show already to send pictures of their cars.
And call-in guests. We've had a couple of call-in guests.
Yeah, and anybody who's called in or period been a guest on the show, just to make sure that you get a hold of us on the finish line and or myself on Facebook, or you can get a hold of my husband Brett too. It doesn't matter.
I'm right here.
Obviously.
Not too hard to find.
Well, never mind. I'm just going to leave that alone. Anyways,
you see how unprofessional this is here. We try to get it all figured out.
It's not always serious.
Oh, that's why we call it the finish line and, everything in between.
There you go.
You made me lose my train of thought.
Well, I'm sorry. Do we have anybody want to call into the show? This never works out. Every time we have a call-in show or a guest.
That's not true. They called in last time.
Well, he called.
Yeah, but Brandon called in
Brandon called too. Yeah, Brandon, if you're listening, call and ask more questions.
That's if Jared ain't too busy, he can call in. I know he's doing harvest, I think.
Yeah, so. He did message back, actually, and said that he does want to be a guest on the show. He messaged me, and he said once harvest is over, because you have to remember right now everybody's in full
So stop
force.
cutting the Milo and get on in here.
He's going to set up a time I told him that if it would be easier for him to be a call-in guest, that would be fine.
Yeah,
too.
but with the call-in guest thing, I want to try to do it where they either call it on the phone and send us a picture so that of them or something, so that we can put them up on the screen so people know who we're talking to, or do it to where
that's why we need Chandler to get the monitor up and running. That would be better.
they do a Skype show or something where we can see who we're, or FaceTime or Facebook Live, somebody who we can talk to.
If they do on our Facebook Lives, if they do have to do a call-in like that where they can't show up, we can add them to the live
Conversation, to the
where
call.
it shows them as a video.
Sure, that'd be great. So if anybody wants to call in and talk with Daniel, that would be good for Q&A stuff. If not, that's fine too, I guess. But we can kind of continue the conversation and see what's
The
up.
phone number's on the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, call in. The phone number's there. Give them the phone number again for those
78
who are just listening and not watching, because that does happen too.
It's 785-572-0085. Again, that's 785-572-0085.
Where did Chandler run off to?
He's
you got to
not
be the
paying
behind-the-scene
attention.
person
Apparently,
tonight.
I'm taking over his job tonight.
It's all right. That happens. But give us a call if you want to talk to Daniel. If not, we understand. That's fine, too. We get some people that are phone shy, and don't want to do this. That's fine. And, that's fine, too. But what do you think about maybe getting some other people behind to promote this whole thing as far as your class goes?
As far as my class goes,
I know I kind of said that, but only in a different way.
I think
I was just trying to figure out, what your take on it was, and maybe what do you think about let's put it this way: what do you think about how the car count could be better or would be better? What could IMCA do, or what could the local drivers do, or sponsors, or fans, or whoever? What could they do to get the class better and more recognized, and more people out there to know that you are doing that and that going on?
Short of social media,
which I think is probably a big part in it.
That's a big part, mainly getting people in the stands, because that'll get, word out to anybody. Hey, come see this class, or hey, come watch this, come to this track.
You guys put on a pretty exciting show from the last one that I seen.
Yeah,
when we were out there. You always don't want to be the meat and the sandwich, so to speak, on a 3-wide situation. But
luckily, I was high side.
Sometimes that helps. I didn't ever want to be the meat and the sandwich, but you get yourself in those situations. Let's talk about this for a minute, though. Have you had any chills, spills, thrills, worse wrecks? Anything that has kind of caused you some issues that you had to kind of backpedal with a little bit, so to speak, and get yourself readjusted and get the car back to racing form to get yourself back out there again and do it in a hurry? I mean, I've been there. I know how that works.
Yep, I had that big one where I left on the hook. Couldn't really bang.
Oh, yeah, you mentioned that.
I couldn't really bang out that damage on the passenger side of the car, but it broke my spindle on it, so that was luckily an easy enough fix, and I had it done for relatively cheap. It's like $60, part, and then just installed it myself. So
somebody get into you?
Yeah.
In that instance? Where were you at? Where were you at in that race?
I was unfortunately